to figure out, well, maybe the guy in Europe knows this, and you call him up. That's a skill that they have to learn.
And can you give me a specific example? How would you give me a specific small example of a collaborative learning project you would give that kind of prevents that we're going to have the bright kid in the circle do all the work and everyone else sit and listen?
Well, actually, what I was going to point out is that the same, in the virtual world, the same analysis software that allowed them to determine where the Enron failure started by tracking through emails and doing the social network analysis, they could see where the idea started, they could see who spread it, they could see who propagated it. When you're doing projects in the virtual world, that stuff, I mean, not actually today, but it's one software generation away from being applied to that scenario. So if you go into some world like Second Life and you give them a project, build this bridge, it can actually, with one little step improvement in software, they'll be actually track who came up with the idea, who told who did sort of the most work on it, and you can tell not only sort of what the final product was, which you can get in a traditional classroom, but how the process evolved to get to that. And you can see who exerted the most leadership skills. All that stuff is going to be able to quantify in the near future. Right now, in the classroom, you do that by observation. You know that Johnny is always sitting there in the back going, ugh, and you figure he's not contributing. But in the future, actually, it'll be documented as you do it.
Real world
Just
solution?
a couple of examples. One is more and more teachers, but also professionals, are using they're using videos, they're using YouTube, and they're using Twitter to communicate with their peers. So for example, right now, heart surgery will take place, and students are observing it as it's taking place. They're receiving, they're actually Twittering with each other along with other faculty that are observing it. The faculty are responding to what is taking place and commenting on how, what took place with the surgery immediately as it's transpiring.
Yeah, you can take the Twitter feeds and actually put them on a monitor.
And you can put them on the monitor.
And then you get that immediate response from the people who will not speak up.
Right. It's amazing to watch it. And the doctors that are going through this, who are faculty, are saying, you know what? Because we're now aware that everybody's watching us, we are better doctors. We're more careful, we're more conscious of when we're going into surgery. Honestly, if I was going to have heart surgery, I would hope that that surgery is a classroom that's being broadcast and Twittered on.
You just hope that the guy doing
Wrong
the
leg,
surgery
don't
isn't with one hand, doing with the other. Okay. Jonathan, do you have a specific solution?
Well, mine's kind of simple. I mean, but I think that one of the ways we can use all this communicative technology, and as long as it's used outside of class and it's effectively anonymous from student to student, is to ask students. I ask my students, I teach a class, Business of Filmmaking, which is supposed to be the most boring class in all of CMI, and because they'd rather be on making movies rather than thinking about how to pay for them, is I ask them, what do you know about this and what do you not know? And to quote a person who's not a big fan of, they don't know what they don't know. And so they won't ask that. That's not a question I ask them to tell me in class. It's something I ask them to feed me through whatever communication channels that they have. And that's how we contextualize the class, because they don't know what they don't know. And so that's what makes that class an interesting class for them, is that every session, and I have like 99% attendance in that class, which amazes me. It's because they're terrified of what they don't know. So they show up and they listen constantly because of that.
And how do you set that up for them?
Well, they just have to. That class, even though it meets all the time, it's a lecture class, and we stand up in front. But they communicate mostly to me outside of class.
By email
or whatever. I don't allow my students to be my Facebook friends until they graduate, but yeah, they have lots of different ways that they can. But I mean, email's still a very powerful tool. We don't have to abandon the old technologies just to move on to the latest.
Already, just a couple years ago.
I've heard that reading is a highly effective form of communication. So I try to interpret that.
Right. I'm odd that we're calling email old technology, but it is true. I'm going to kind of echo what everybody said here, and one consistent thing that here is the collaboration. I want to add one other thing, because I don't know if you're thinking this, but whenever I'm listening to people talking about how to take advantage of this new stuff, I'm going, fantastic, and when am I going to do that? I now have about 24 hours worth of stuff to do in 8 hours. How am I going to fit more of it? One solution that we've come up with, and it's not a surprise new solution, but people aren't using it as much, is collaboration among faculty as well. And that group teaching, even on the middle school level, now I haven't really experimented with any of this on the K through 5 level, on the elementary school level, but that works in middle school, works in high school, and certainly works on the university level. The more team teaching that you can do, even at a larger class size, the better different experience the students get, and it also takes some of the burden off of us performing all day long. And plus I learn constantly from the people who I team teach with. So even though some of the administration may not love this, because it's a little bit more difficult sometimes, I heartily think that kind of collaboration is a key to what we're doing, as well as the student collaboration and the faculty-student collaboration.
I know that we're tight on time, and I just could talk about y'all this for so long, and so many great things have been brought up. I noticed that we have the results on Twitter, Facebook, or MySpace, and our group's about evenly split. Half of us do and half of us don't. So I would like to say, I've been involved in all 3 of those, in Twittering, and I couldn't handle it after a while, and I stopped using it. And Facebook I use quite a bit actively, not only for personal and professional reasons as well. And MySpace, I use it again. I abandoned that for other reasons as well. But I would say the take home today, one of the things that really got me reading again was the Harry Potter series. I admitted I've got them all. And I actually got into Twilight, which is a little too, oh, he's so adorable and cute. But I read the full Twilight series as well. And the reason I did that is if I'm going to develop media for learners, I need to stay on top of what they're doing, pop culture and otherwise. So I stick it through to the passionate kissing and the he's so adorable part of Twilight. And I actually enjoyed it. So I would say that one take-home message for today is to force yourself to use, grab one of them. You don't have to use them for the classroom. You don't have to use it all. Grab Twitter, grab Facebook, and use it for 60 days. And then at the end of 60 days, decide if it fits into your life or not. If you cannot text message, go and borrow a phone that has a full text keyboard on it so that you don't have to go 333366622 period 9999 to text, because I can't do that either. But I would encourage you all to use that, because even if you don't end up using Facebook or Twitter in the classroom, what it enables us to do is it enables us to look at how we're approaching learning differently. Twittering is bringing on not only how we're communicating with each other, but the nuggeting of information that Jonathan and Dr. Flores was talking about is communicating little bits at a time. If you don't want to, the largest growing population on Facebook now is women over 55. I'm not trying to make any judgments about the women in the room. I'm just saying that don't feel that these tools are for 18-year-olds anymore, because they're changing the way we approach and think.
3 years ago, the average age was 22 on Twitter. Today, it's 42.
And I think Time Magazine had something about the shark when all your grandparents are Twittering and you aren't.
The Nintendo DS, I was talking to Nintendo USA, that little device that your kids use.
Yeah, right.
The fastest growing demographic is people over 30, and it's now 20% of the market and growing in double-digit percentages.
Oh. So that would be my take home, is to take these. And if you want to look me up on Facebook, I heard about Jonathan's toenails or something a while back on Facebook. So it's not all professionally relevant, but it's a great way to look at how learning is changing as a result of technology.
And Barb and I kind of planned this conference on Facebook, so.
We do.
And Bill Flores. Thank you guys. Let's give them a hand. Great job.